This is Dan, your dental IT guy, coming to you today. We're having a little bit of a different video today. We are interviewing a company out of Tampa called Coastal Networks. I have Stephen Mueller and Josh Crithfield on the line today with us, and we're talking about the Dental Integrators Association. They are members of the Dental Integrators Association, and as you've all heard me before, I've talked about DIA and the value that they brought to not only our organization, but so many of the member organizations. We wanted to take an opportunity to really dive in a little bit more and get some other perspectives of what the DIA does for other members and other businesses that are part of this group. And so I wanted to bring in again Josh and Stephen from Coastal Networks and get their take. So hey
Hey, good
guys, how
morning,
you
Dan.
doing?
Good. How you doing, Dan?
Good, good. You want to kind of talk a little bit about your organization?
Yeah, sure. So we're a managed service provider in Tampa, Florida, and we specialize in working with dental practices. It's about, I would say, about 90% of our business, and we chose to work in this vertical about 15 years ago when we first got started. We decided it was something that no one was doing at that particular time, and at least in our area, and we're specializing in. And so we figured we would be the ones that would do that. So we got to learn the software and got to learn the requirements, the special requirements. And we basically got on our own for a little while until we came across the DIA. The DIA was great because there was other people that were trying to do the same thing that we were doing, and we were able to use those contacts and build those relationships with people in our area and other states. And it gave us a good feeling that we know we're on the right track, and that there were other people that had that idea and were also doing it probably in different ways. But it definitely allowed us to progress our business, and we're active members in it, and we look forward to going and meeting everybody every year or so. There's generally two meetings. We have a main annual meeting, and then sometimes in the fall there's a mid-year meeting where a few of us get together. But it's always good. We always take something away from it, and we continue those relationships throughout the year. And here we are talking with Dan.
Absolutely. So you've been kind of focusing on or you have been focusing on the oral healthcare vertical for about 15 years. But how long ago and how did you learn about the DIA?
So we learned about the DIA when we started doing a lot of our research for HIPAA. So as you probably know, you didn't get into this business to be a compliance person. Neither did we. So we had to kind of learn that. And there wasn't a lot of resources out at that time in order to figure out what exactly needs to be done for these dental practices in order to make sure that they are compliant with the law as far as their IT is concerned. So doing our research, we came across a few articles that were written by DIA members, and we picked out the Dental Integrators Association from that. And that's where we did our research on that and started talking with some of the officers, and decided to go to the first meeting. And from there, we were hooked because it was great. It was like it felt like there was other owners that understood us and understood the same problems and the same things that we were talking about, they were talking about. And it felt like, oh, this is the place we need to be. If we go to larger conferences, we're members of other associations, but they're generally larger, and they're more generalized. And we don't really get those deep conversations like we do with the folks in the DIA. And that's what really is the big benefit for us.
Josh, let me just kind of expound or ask you a question on what Steve was saying. You had mentioned that you have a couple of meetings and you get to know people, and you also are talking about larger meetings. What's one of the differences between a DIA meeting and maybe some of those larger meetings that you were in peer groups that you were talking about?
Yeah, I think the DIA is much more intimate. It's a smaller group, but we're all in the same industry, the same vertical. Whereas when we're going to a larger DattoCon or something of IT Nation that's much larger, you get exposure to a lot of vendors. You get to see the latest technology that's out there, different kinds of presentations. But the DIA is the vertical that we're in, and it's the one that we live in, and so uh, having a closer relationship with those members that are across the country, that everybody is open, they share with each other. It's something that you just don't get in a larger type of peer group or conferences.
I agree, and as everybody knows, Nova's a part of the DIA, and just to expound on that, having the ability to reach out to another member that does exactly what we do, that probably has those same experiences, good and bad, those same challenges, and to be able to bounce something off, or them say, "Hey, we do it this way," and that might be, I never ever have thought about that, but they know it because they're in the fight with you, doing the same thing in the oral healthcare vertical. So I agree. It's such a huge benefit.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about some of those benefits. What are some other direct benefits that you and your business have had since becoming members?
Well, I think our most direct benefit has been the ability for us to be able to move from a break fix primarily shop to fully managed services.
Uh,
And the reason I'm saying this is versus something like a IT Nation or a DattoCon, uh, the DIA folks, we were able to build those relationships and ask these really intimate questions about others' businesses and how they were able to achieve moving from that idea of the break fix into the managed services, and being able to talk to different people in our same industry and not have a uh, anybody fearful of being, having competitors or anything like that. This was probably our biggest takeaway from the DIA. We were able to build slowly but surely, and we are no longer doing any break fix at all. We just do managed services now, and I attribute to most of that to being able. I attribute most of that to the relationships built at the DIA.
that's fantastic. Going from a break fix to a full MSP since you've become a member of the DIA, and you're really attributing that to help and relationships and conversations that you've had with those other members.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, it's different than when you're at one of these large ones and you hear somebody who has a multi-million or billion-dollar managed services, and they're telling you how you should be an MSP. Um, that seems great, and you get excited about it, but it seems almost unattainable. But when you talk to somebody that is a few steps above what you are, um, or where your business is, and they're saying, yeah, we're either on our way and this is how we're doing it, or we're already there and this is how we did it. And they're in the same industry as you, and they're in the same uh, category as you. You feel like you have that confidence to say, well, if they did it, then sure, there's no reason why I can't do it either. And then you at least you can help get the first steps on what it would take to get there without, we all work with the same type of clients. We can share information and how we should talk to our clients about it. And it eventually you get there. It's definitely not an overnight process. I mean, it took us several years to be able to do that. But we did get a forward progress every single year because we were able to pick things out of our meetings and just from phone calls and video conferences, and just to talk with our guys or our colleagues in different states.
Yeah, I think that the members want everybody to succeed. They were all in our place at one point, and everyone was very willing to say, well, this worked or this didn't work. And very helpful stuff that you can we took away from all the meetings, of how we wanted to do this conversion to MSP and our strategy and so forth. So it's all about the relationships with the DIA, I think.
I I agree. Having the ability to build relationships with other owners and companies in different areas. Take another step further with the ability, we have partners that are not in our geographic service area that are still partners of Nova, that are supported physically by some other members of the DIA because they have that same mindset. They know if another company, we know if they're walking into one of our partner offices, they understand the oral healthcare vertical. They know what an intraoral camera is, or a digital X-ray sensor, or what EagleSoft is. So they're coming in with that familiarity. So we found that we're able to support partners in a larger geographic area with the relationships from those as well, which is another huge benefit. I wouldn't feel comfortable just having any MSP walk into the door of a dental practice because I wouldn't feel that they have that understanding of what that practice is going through or the importance of how important that one X-ray sensor is to the ability for them to treat their patients, and generate revenue.
Right.
So it's
And that's exactly right. And you don't want to have somebody who's not trained in this just going around and flipping around a sensor or something like that, that's $10,000 and they don't understand what it really is or how much those things are really worth. So yeah, definitely it's good to have someone in the field be able to help you do that. And yeah, there are folks we haven't embraced that yet because we're more local in our area and we don't have that geographical expansion yet. So we haven't had a need for that, but we do know that others do negotiate that, and that's great, and that's fantastic. That's yet another benefit, and that's a benefit for some of our larger larger MSP partners. So everybody gets something from this. It's not just smaller offices. It's not just smaller individuals or smaller IT companies that are looking to become MSPs or to make that next step. It's also great for, I think, for larger companies as well to be able to get that information that are for folks that are, if they're trying to get into more dental and support more dental as well, because this is still a combined resource. We're still very large in the amount of dental practices we support. Dan, what do you think is the support base for the DIA as far as of all the members? Would you have an idea of what that might be?
from the amount of practices that we
Yeah,
support.
yeah, DIA practices. I mean, it's several thousands. Yeah, it would,
Oh, easily several,
tens, yeah,
tens of thousands of
tens of thousands, I would
practices.
assume. Yeah,
Going out to the dentalintegrators.org website, they have a full map where you can click on each state and see what provider is in each
right.
state. I'm sure, as you know. And so I don't think there are too many states out there that aren't represented in one way, shape, or form by one of our members
Yeah.
to help the dental practices all across the country. But I would absolutely say significantly tens of thousands of practices are maintained by DIA members.
Yeah.
And
so you get that resource. It's not just, one partnership you're building. You're building, a partnership with large companies, small companies, and you're getting a broad spectrum of different sizes, but they're all focused on this one sector of the market. And that's the one that we chose to work in. And if they're looking at expanding or specializing into this market, this is a great resource to do so.
So it sounds like what you're saying, and I don't want this to come off like that cheesy sales pitch, but it's going to come off like that cheesy sales pitch, sounds like what you're saying is if you work in dental at all, if you have any dental partners, it may be a benefit to you to consider becoming a Dental Integrators Association member.
Yeah, yeah, that's not cheesy at all. That's exactly right. Even if you have one or two practices, I think, and if you have the aspirations of saying, well, I kind of like working with dentists, and the software is, we're getting to know it pretty well, and well, maybe we should take that information or that knowledge that we already have and expand that into other practices and into more business. And if this is the type of MSP or IT services company that you have right now, then yeah, definitely if you're interested in even a little bit into getting into this field, this is a great place to start.
And not only that is that the members and the companies they work as a best in class. These are quality companies. They're doing a good job for their clients, and being surrounded around same-minded people, is a great benefit as well.
You mentioned that. I know that the organization has standards, requirements that not only from a membership standpoint, but also from a best practice standpoint for its partners. Can you either of you speak to any of that?
Yeah, I think that's huge because it shows the value of being a member of the Dental Integrators Association, is because we do adhere to those standards, and the standards aren't the type of the way you run your business, or whether or not you're a managed, or if you're a break fix. The standards have to do with best practices to make sure that the your customers are staying secure, and you're providing them good value for their money as well. The standards that we have that the DIA has, they're not, they're minimum standards, and then there's also the recommended standards, and then there's the standards where I guess that we would all like to attain. And I think that's just I think that's a big thing for the DIA. I think that's good for all of for the members to be able to adhere to those, and it makes us to where it raises the bar for everybody. So even if you have competitors in your local area, you would be able to know that when you're going up against somebody, that it's not going to be somebody that is just selling them the bare minimum of anything. They're selling the same product, or not necessarily the same product suite, but the same tier 1 type system that you are. And so when you go to head, you're going head to head with apples to apples, and not apples to something else.
It's so true. So many times you run across practices that have, Dan the computer guy down the street that doesn't have a focus and maybe uses a certain tool in this office and no tools in that office, and maybe some tools on some of the computers in that office. Having that standard, having that MSP, that managed service provider that's focused on the oral healthcare vertical, that understands compliance requirements,
Yes.
OCR, what HHS is, all of those things. You'll bring so much more to the practice. Exactly what you're saying. So much to the practice. We've talked a lot about the business side, the principal side, and how you've been able to transform your business from a break fix to an MSP. Are there any other benefits that DIA has brought your tech team or any other members of your organization?
Well, recently, DIA has started having engineerings or top level engineerings work together for certain things, to share information on certain problems, specifically industry specific problems, such as maybe one of the dental practice management system has certain updates or something, and you find something that's incompatible with that, you can share that among the other DIA members, and this gives you a little bit of a head start on a lot of it. A lot of these things we end up finding out, but it's better to have that head start, and that's what this will allow our technicians to do. We haven't yet fully embraced that. A lot of this is something that just started this year, and we're working on getting our technicians into this and to start sharing information. It's not necessarily it's not going to be business practices or anything like that. This is something that's just technical, and where the technical guys can share information that is beneficial to solving problems quicker.
I agree. We've started to use the channel internally, and to have our senior technicians be able to talk to other senior technicians that are, again, living that same life in the muck and the weeds, fighting together. It's been very, very beneficial to our partners, because that's ultimately what we're here for. We're here for our partners, to help their lives be better, to help their systems run faster, to give them the ability to give the best oral health care to their patients and generate the most amount of, the revenue that they need to. That's why we're here. We're all here working. So if we can make all these changes from the business side, and now we can help our technicians, we're really doing what's in our partners' best interests, and that, I think, certainly is another aspect, like you said, of the way DIA is helping its members do better for their partners. And so, what would you tell an MSP owner that maybe has a lot of dental partners, maybe has one dental partner, maybe is just not sure if the oral healthcare vertical is something that they should look at and try and work in? What would you tell an MSP owner that's considering looking at the Dental Integrators Association?
Well, it's kind of two parts to that. So if I don't know if there would be any recommendations I would have for anybody that wants to take this particular vertical on. Other than it works well for us, but it might not work well for your company. But if you are considering that, and this is something that you do want to get into, then there's no reason really not to join the dental integrators. It's all upside. It's not a big financial risk by far. I would try one meeting. I would try to go and meet up with us Dan will be there, Josh will be there, I'll be there. There'll probably be about 30 to 40 other businesses from around the country that will meet up. It's not all the DI members, not everybody can make it every year, but it's definitely, it's worthwhile. And there's always good topics on discussion. There's always our round tables, which I love those. We have our vendors there, like most other conferences as well. But the biggest thing, I think, is just being able to having those side discussions. And it's being able to talk to somebody offline, not just necessarily in the conference in front of everybody else, but just say, hey, I guess you're over in California, and how are things over in California? And then you start talking, and next thing you know, the relationship gets built. And these are people that we see year after year after year. And this isn't something that's just a kind of a fly by night. Excuse me. Put that on mute next time. This isn't something to where you just meet somebody one time at a conference and then it's like, oh wow, this is great, and then you never see them again. This is what happens in larger. What I feel what happens even in larger and mid-size groups is that you meet these people and then you get excited and you're like, oh, this is great to have this peer, and then you never really talk to them again. But this is something that you see. These are people you see year after year after year, and there's new faces. There's some faces you haven't seen. You don't see for a couple of years, and then you say, oh, I remember talking to you a few years ago. How's it going out in Utah? And it's great being able to keep those relationships. And I wouldn't trade it for anything. I mean, we're been members for 5-6 years now, and it's just been fantastic for us. So it's great being able to talk to other people in our field, and even if we're griping or complaining about something, or we have somebody else that actually understands, that really does know where we're at, and not is just saying that they feel our pain.
Right. Anything to add on that, Josh?
No, it's well said. Well said. It's I can't say enough about the DIA, its members, and the community that it's been built.
Since our first meeting, from my perspective, since our first meeting, leaving the last day on the Saturday or Sunday, whatever day we wrapped it up, having a notebook full of notes of things that you have to work on, and the feeling of just being reinvigorated by, just like you said, Stephen, all the conversations that you had. And oh my gosh, I can't wait to get back and tell so and so this, because this is something that we've been working on and worried about, and it hasn't been working. And now we've found, just based on the conversation that I had with Stephen over at Coastal, he's doing it this way. Let's try it that way. It's that reinvigoration that I get when I leave the conferences after learning everything, and just reconnecting, that is so powerful.
And there are always valuable takeaways. There are, absolutely. You come home, you have your list, and you implement them. And it just improves everything. Yeah.
Yeah. And to build on what Josh is saying, it's the takeaways are sticky. So it's not that we're just taking them away and then they're just laying on our desk or something and we never get to them, because they're all I wouldn't say all, but I mean, most of them are something that we would want to definitely implement into our business. And, and then we continue the relationships by the communication between the business owners. And, that's what helps keep things moving forward. And that's, I think, is very important too. It's just that the takeaways are not just something that are unattainable. They are all very attainable, because others your size because there's members of all sizes that are in DIA. There's members with just a few technicians, and there's members with hundreds of technicians probably. So you get something. Everybody has a peer there for sure.
Well, this was great, gentlemen. I appreciate you taking the time and talking about your experience with the Dental Integrators Association, and hopefully this information will help some other MSPs out there, or some other break fix folks that want to go to MSP and they work in the dental vertical. Maybe this will give them some motivation to take a look at smaller, more intimate peer groups that are focused on your vertical. And so I really appreciate the time that you both took to kind of go through your story.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.